Today, I want to talk about the Beyond the Wall expeditions. Two reasons behind that. The first one being that when you are in endgame, like level 37 to 42, you have the two last Beyond the Wall expeditions, and you are getting a lot of rewards at the end, so it can be cool to farm that to get some jewelry and stuff like that, alright? Second reason, every month you have a ranking. You can do that with your 3 characters on every single expedition Beyond the Wall, and this is one of the best, or maybe the only and best way to get some golden dragon every month, and this is what I had right after the reset today. 3,800 golden dragon, that is insane. And by the way, I have a crazy amount of tips for you today for that content, so stay until the end guys, don't miss anything. You will have an amazing efficiency after watching that video on that content. By the way, right before getting into the content, did you know that you could get some free rewards in game by supporting your favorite content creator? Basically, during the month of June, you will receive some kappa pouches, rune runners to get more artifacts, you will get some recharge tickets to get more RP, and activity support chests, so just a few more materials such as potions and herbs, stuff like that to craft. Basically, the only thing you have to do is open one of my video, like that, go in the description and click on that link here. Click on support, and by doing that, you will receive some coupons. You don't need to spend anything. Basically, I will have the list. I can send you some rewards during the month and later as well. On the other side, if someday you want to spend in game, I will receive a percentage based on your spending. So thank you so much to everyone who want to support me. Alright, first of all, if your goal is not to rush the rankings to get the rewards at the end, if you are struggling in that content, if you want to have some good advice to progress through that content, the best thing I want to tell you is to avoid these stones encounters. Because basically sometimes, of course, you have some buffs, but sometimes you get some debuffs, or sometimes you have absolutely nothing happening. But every time you are doing one of these encounters here, killing some enemies, then at the end you can select one of the 18 buffs you have in the game. When you are on that map here, you can check the kind of encounters you will have, so always check what boss you will have at the end, because the best buff to take in here for that content to have the most efficiency is to take the buff increasing your damage versus types of enemies. So in that situation, I have a beast encounter at the end, so I want to take some beast damage increase first. This is my first goal. Then the best defense is the offense, in my opinion, because the faster you kill the enemies, the less you have to dodge or stuff like that. So I recommend to go for the damage increase first every time. Take one of each every time you can. Don't take an upgrade on after an encounter. You can upgrade them when you reach a tree encounter. Finally, if you are still struggling after that, another advice I can give you, you can quit the content and do it later. You are losing absolutely nothing by doing that. So if you are lacking some projectiles, for example, get out of the content, open the map. By the way, I have an interactive map in the description of all my videos, and you can just basically teleport to somewhere where you will find some projectiles. Get back in the content and continue. You can complete some God's Haven as well. You will get some attack power increase, damage decrease as well, depending on where you are in the Stormlands, or you can have some crit rate increase if you take the buff coming from the next to High Garden and Old Town. So do that before entering. And something more, when you open your inventory, you can craft some potions to have more efficiency. Increase your HP if you are lacking some. Increase your crit rate. You can also increase your attack or damage versus wights or versus beasts, or you have the same potions versus humans. You can also craft some powder to increase your rage restoration, but I don't recommend to do that. I have a simple tip that I'm gonna show you a bit later in the video. When should you start farming the Beyond the Wall expeditions? In fact, that is very easy. When you go to buy items at the merchant here in Beyond the Wall expedition, you have a lot of items to purchase, and they are very interesting. Basically, once you reach the level 37, you can purchase some of these 2 times per account, and you can get basically the legendary jewelry of your choice. Alright, so very nice to get some duplicates and recast them. You can purchase that twice. Then every time, 3 times per month, you can purchase this pack 3 times. So you are not guaranteed to get a legendary, and generally you have only a few chances to get some, but you need to know about it. You have some chance to get some. Then you can purchase some others as well to have more chance to get some legendaries. You have some crafting materials and stuff like that. And this is the only place where you can farm some house sigil. So if your goal is to get more momentum later on, this is the place. And also, when you reach the level 37, you can start farming that content to get a lot of jewelry and crafting materials. Basically, every time you will claim the rewards, you will get 2 of these rare boxes in which you have only blues, purples, and legendaries. I don't know what all the rays behind. It never happened to me to get some legendaries, and I farmed that a couple times already. And on the stage, on the last one, you get 3+ boxes. So you can have 4 maximum, if I understood. And you have a lot of XP, you have a lot of powder here, you get a lot of requisition token as well for the shop I showed you before. So it can be, in my opinion, interesting to farm that content a couple times until you buy all the things you want in the shop. Then I would recommend to go back farming the Ferocious Beast to get some legendary gear. But personally, I'm not doing the content for that. I'm doing mostly the content for the monthly rewards and get the golden dragon. And don't worry, because now I'm gonna give you all the tips I have in that content to have a crazy chrono at the end. First tip of the video for the ranking: the chrono is not running when you're on the map here. So take your time, you can even quit the content, the chrono won't run anymore. It runs only when you are in an enemy's encounter, alright? So when you are on the different menus trying to purchase some buffs at the end of the enemy's encounters, take your time, think about what you want to have. Second tip, skip all enemies encounters you can. Basically for that, you have the stones encounters here, and you are not running the chrono by passing these stages here. And you are just keeping the enemies encounters, so you are gaining a lot of time at the end on the chrono. Talking about these, you need to consider the map configuration. Here, for example, this is a bad configuration because I have only 2 encounters that I can reach with my character, alright? 2, but the max you can reach, depending on the configuration on the map, is 3. So basically, you need to quit here and then click on that button to reset the expedition and start another expedition until you have the right map configuration. This is the right configuration. When you have 2 encounters here, 1 there right behind the tree, and 2 others here on the area number 9. Basically, you can skip 3 fights, so you are saving a lot of time. But then, you need to check what encounter you have on the different areas. The most important one is the one you have on the area 7. Here, if you have some wildlings, you will waste some time. So just reset until you have some whites encounter here. This is the encounter you will have if you have some whites. You can just basically take the axe, hit the tree, wait before you have the text blinking on the screen, otherwise the tree will be stuck at 1 HP and you will need to quit and retry. But don't worry, another tip: when you quit the content, you are not wasting some time on the chrono. It is just basically resetting the encounter chrono so you can retry every time you want. On the last area, the fastest ones are the beast bosses, because basically you have just to run to the area and kill the boss. If you have some wildlings, if you are lucky, you will have the Thin Warrior, but it's not happening very often. At least it didn't happen to me very often. If you have the wildlings, you can have the giant, and in that case, you need to follow the path to the cliff, wait for the animation on the giant before being able to attack the giant. So you're wasting a crazy amount of time on the chrono here. And if you have the whites, this is even worse, because you need to kill a ton of whites before the boss spawns. So check the encounter here on the last area, beast, only if you want to have the best chrono ever. Then check the encounters you have on the first areas. On the first one, if you have the beast, it means that you will have a box to carry on your back and put that box at a location. You can have a white encounter with the same quest. Or you can have another white encounter where you will need to find 4 samples. If you can get them on the first rotation of enemies without waiting for their respawn, then you can continue. Otherwise, you will need to wait for them to respawn just to quit the content and retry it. The one with the samples is the fastest one to run. On the second area here, you can have the wildlings or you can have the whites. If you have the wildlings, it goes pretty fast. You need to shoot at the wildlings, Basically, you need to stay on the left at the beginning to kill the first wildlings, then stick on the right of the cliff, so they will come in a line, it will be easier to kill them, and right after they are spawning, just to go in the middle so you can refill your projectiles and kill them super easy. If you have the white encounter here, this is the fastest one. You can just run through the blizzard, try to avoid them by running in the middle between them. If some of them are following you when you reach the Night's Watch, you can't talk to the guy. You are forced to kill them before talking to the NPC. Finally, on the fourth encounter here, you can have some wildlings or some whites. For the wildlings, you will have 2 camps to defend. Just kill the enemies at the bottom, and once it's done, run at the top and defend the camp at the top. You will have an elite soldier and some enemies will spawn at the bottom, but at the time you kill the elite soldier, they will reach you, so you will save some time by doing that. For the whites, you just have some waves of whites to kill. Another advice, when you reach the last tree here, right before the boss fight, make sure that you're always purchasing the potion to increase your attack power. You're getting 25% attack power for only a few dragon glass. And then upgrade your damage on the type of enemies you have in front first, and then the crit damage and other stats increasing your damage. Now let me show you the skills you need with the 3 classes in the game. On the 3 classes, you will need the Ignite Weapon Plus. This is the best thing to have because you have not only the ignite on the weapon, but it's increasing the duration by 10 seconds. Very nice for that content. And you have an AoE attack. Very nice to kill enemies super fast. On the night, you want to go for Boost Morale Plus. So you are also decreasing the defense of all enemies in the range by 30%. For bosses, it will be very easy to kill them after that. You are also doing an AoE attack, which is great to clear waves of enemies in that content for the chrono. And finally, for boss fights, the slashy skill on the knight is the best one to deal some damage. So if you can manage to get the slashes plus, it will be very nice for that content. And put all the levels into that skill only, so it will be more efficient. For the basics on the knight, I recommend to go for the strike combo 2 or the strike combo 1. And consider increasing only the fighting spirit stacks here if you don't have the boost morale plus, because with the boost morale plus you can enter the fighting spirit stance directly when casting the skills. Otherwise, take it from here. Even if you have the boost morale, it can be interesting, so without casting the skill you can enter the fighting spirit stance, increasing your damage by a lot. Basically, minus 20% rage consumption and plus 25% active skill damage when in fighting spirit with the knights. On the assassin, ignite weapon plus if you can have it. Unfortunately, I tried a lot to craft some equipment. I was never able to get the ignite weapon plus on the assassin so far, but I recommend to go for that for the same reason as for the knight. AoE attack, 10 seconds on the duration. Alright, then you can go for the poison plus. You will have not only some attack increase if you can have the stacking poison plus here, more damage with the poison on the enemies, and a poison attack plus releases an AoE attack as well. And finally, going for cutting mutilation plus or turning kick plus. It depends on your gameplay. The cutting mutilation has more damage, but it's slower to execute. The turning kick can have still pretty good damage, and if you have the turning kick plus, you will release an extra attack, and you attack very fast with that skill. For the combos, I prefer going with the strike combo 1. Consider upgrading your stacks for the blood burst, because by doing that, you will have more damage. Basically, you will have a 45% more attack power when attacking enemies with a blood burst for every stack. So you can stack up to 8. Imagine the attack power you can get through these blood burst mechanic. Finally, I didn't thought I would say that someday, but the Cell Sword became my favorite class ever in that game, because it's not only fun to play, but it is so brutal and you have insane AoE damage with that class and some controls, and you have hit stun immunity. Let me explain that to you. First of all, for that content, you want to go for the Ignite Weapon Plus for the same reasons as for the other classes. The AoE attack and the duration increased on the fire on your weapon. On Conflict plus 2 to get some more attack power. And then Earth Strike plus, amazing, the best skill I've ever seen in the game. Look at that, you are marteling the ground, dealing 5 attacks to enemies, and doing that skill. They are all controlled, they can't act, you are cancelling their skills, you are safe, and you are destroying them. You have insane damage, And if you have a shockwave, at least the +1, you have extra AoE damage 5 times on the enemies. Even more damage if you have pulverized +1 at least, 20% more damage on targets affected by destruction. Talking about that, when you have the strike combo 1 here, which is the best I recommend to take, you have that to inflict some shocks that can turn into destructions at 6 stacks on the enemies. Basically, what it does, it's increasing the damage taken by the target by 20% and the day's damage as well. This is insane. And the Sellsword is the only class with the hit stun immunity. They can't get cancelled when they are doing their combos. Amazing for that content. And finally, still on the Sellsword, I have the Roar Plus, so I have an AoE attack one more time, and I can increase my damage for 8 seconds. Very nice to kill very fast a boss. Now, let me give you some tips on the trait tree. There is one node that you want to take on all your characters for that content. Very important. The description here on King Gaze is wrong. You are not getting the ranged attack damage increased by 25%. No, you are getting some rage directly when casting that. That is amazing. Just need to shoot at an enemy with a projectile. You are getting around a 60 rage per hit. That is amazing if you want to cast the Ignite or any other skill in that content. And plus, you are getting the attack power 15% increase for 10 seconds, so that is amazing. For every 3 classes, I want to go for the attack first, then crit rate, then crit damage. So I try to increase my damage first. This one is great for the crit rate and crit damage increase, and the last one here is great for the same reasons. So I have the same trait tree on my 3 characters. For the set equipped on the character, I chose to go for the champion set to increase both my crit rate and crit damage. For the set research, I recommend to go for the brute set only. Basically, you can't use your potions in that content, so when you run the brute set, you have some life steal. You are getting some damage increased as well, so you are safer when you are using that set in that content, and you deal more damage. Finally, for the relics, if you don't have any legendaries, first of all, if you have some Legos, this is the best one to take. Otherwise, take the crown. If you don't have any legendaries, go with that towel here. You are not only getting some attack power increase when casting the skill and passively here, you are also getting some life steal. One more way to heal your character without using some potions. For the passive one, if you are using a Sellsword, go for the Endal Tunic if you have it. You are getting some more damage and crit rate crit damage on targets with destruction marks. If you are using the Assassin, go with the Regar's Ruby. You are getting the same but with the target inflicted by Bloodburst. If you are using the Knights, you can use one of these if you have them, or you can use the Dark Sister. This is the best one on the Knight to increase your damage. You will get more damage on burn targets. If you don't have any legendary, then I recommend to go with that purple for that content, because you are not only getting some attack power increase, but it's decreasing the effectiveness of the Cold Gorge in that content. You can have some malluses over time if you stay too long in the content, but it's also healing your character over time every 5 seconds and recovering your rage as well. And if you have the first refinement level, you are getting some more Dragon Glass in that content. Alright, so I can start with 2 whites encounters. Here I got whites as well. Wildlings and Beast. Perfect configuration, so let's do that. Oh, the samples. Not the best encounter I could have. If I'm not lucky, I'm gonna waste some time. And I have the ladders. It's taking a crazy amount of time to climb the ladders in that game. Already got 2. This is nice. Didn't give me any. Come on, you need to give me the 2 last ones here. I got the 4. Nice, very nice start. Alright, so now I just need to kill the 2 big guys. And that was a pretty good start. Over! Nothing to up my damage. Gonna take the rage increase. For Dragon, should I wait until endgame? I have 32k momentum, just doing like 2% damage. It's useless to run Dragon if you have only 2% damage. You will have terrible rewards at the end. But you... Then it depends. If you can get on a channel where you have only a few people, do that with at least another guy. But today, since global launch, you have so many players everywhere, this is not doable anymore. I remember I could solo Dragon when I was playing on early access. Now today you always have people. So with 2% damage only, if you have excellence of tickets, you can still try to do a bit of damage. So you will still get some rewards maybe. But yeah, don't expect to have great rewards by doing that. So I don't know if it is worth it to farm it. And the Blizzard. Alright. So let's stay on the right. Get in the middle. Right of the cliff. In the middle. Right. Oh, I took the aggro. Alright, seems like I will have a lot of people to kill, unfortunately. Alright, so let's wait here. Is it okay? That was fast. Skill damage. Encounter here. Nothing happens. Obtain 100% crit. The next stage is gonna be faster. Wanna go on the left. Waves of enemies. That one is pretty fast to complete. If only I had the Ignite Plus. I have to recast the skill every 20 seconds instead of 30 seconds with the Ignite Plus. And I don't have the AoE attack, this is a bit sad. The Poison Assassin is good in my opinion to start the game with, but later on, it's better to use the Bloodburst. But I'm still using the Poison by the way, because you are getting some attack power increase with a sub effect, so it can still be very interesting. That was fast. Nothing really interesting here. Alright, let's stick with this one. Enhance the attack power. Max level. Don't care about enhancing this one. Encounter. Dragon Glass. Yeah, I take this one at the top. Don't care about losing some HP. Get on the left. Let's pray to have the tree to cut. Amazing. Fastest one. Gonna have a super chrono at the end. Need to do better than 5 minutes 30 seconds, so crit damage. Encounter here. More Dragon Glass. I'm at 69k momentum Knight. I'm still using Servant Set from the story and using the Sentinel for the second effect. I'm not sure if I should swap. The Sentinel, in my opinion, is good when you want to push the story and for the worm walks. But your main set should be different than this one later. For endgame, I recommend to go with the brute set. as the set research or main set, and use the champion set. These are the two best sets in my opinion. The brute set is interesting for the wormwalk, not the wormwalks, the beyond the wall expedition, because you have some life steal. And since you can't use your potions in that content, you can still heal by dealing some damage on enemies. That's a good way to stay alive in that content, and that's the best set to increase your damage. The Marauder, you mean the Mauler set? I tried it in the past, and I retried it a few days ago. It is a bad set. You have more attack speed, but it means that you need to play with your combos because you're not getting a rage anymore after casting your skills. I don't like that set. And I don't recommend to go for it. Oh, one more time, the waves of enemies here. Poison. Not a single crit. Alright, so if I miss my shots... Oh, come on! What a dumb I am! It's alright. Ah, come on! Attack power. Now I'm on the tree and I can do the boss fight. I was pretty fast. Attack power. Gotta take the silver ore. Crit damage first. Attack power then. Rage. Boss fight. The spider. Oh, it didn't give me some rage. Oh, it's alright. That was still fast. Normally the artifact is supposed to give me some rage, but sometimes it's not giving any, so it's a bit weird. Alright. Time to check my ranking. Hope I did better than the previous attempt. Oh my goodness, this is the best record! So that's all I had to say about that content. See you later guys, have a nice day, take care, bye bye.